Russia vows all necessary assistance to Armenia in Nagorno-Karabakh, threatening regional war, says this Zero Hedge article from November the 2nd, 2020, also linked up at mark13news.com. Armenia being widely believed to be Tagorma of the North Quarters, written of in the first 7 verses of Ezekiel 38, where the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, Moscow and Tobolsk in other words, according to Bullinger, is told by God to be a guard unto the company assembled unto Gog, the chief prince or prince of Rosh, that is to say Russia, the current king of the north, you can read of in Daniel chapter 11 verses 13 through 15, beginning in my opinion when Russia entered into Syria on September 30th, 2015. The Ezekiel 38 confederacy being formulated at this time, but not becoming the bear of Daniel chapter 7 until the woe of the 5th trumpet, when the 5-month-long hour of temptation begins. The 4th king of the north of Daniel chapter 11 and the events of Ezekiel 38, beginning with verse 8, don't happen until the end of the 5 months at the Battle of the Valley of Hamon-Gog, continuing on into Ezekiel chapter 39. The Battle of the Valley of Hamon-Gog happens at the same time as the Battle of Armageddon, 2 different battles that happen in 2 separate geographic locations when the true Christ returns at the woe of the 7th trumpet immediately after that 5-month-long hour of temptation. As of November 4th, 2020, the United States, who is the current king of the south of Daniel chapter 11 verses 13 through 15, has formally withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, part of the United Nations framework on climate change. The United Nations, in my opinion, being not only the great horn of the he-goat written of in Daniel chapter 8 verse 8 that gets broken, so to speak, because of the multipolar globalists rising up against the unipolar globalists, but the United Nations is also the one who sends a raiser of taxes written of in Daniel chapter 11 verse 20 when you more accurately translate the verse, as you can see in the Companion Bible as well as the Daniel commentary by Otto Zockler and James Strong. You find out that the subject of Daniel 11:20 isn't the raiser of taxes, but the one who sends a raiser of taxes, a global carbon tax being the ultimate eventuality of the Paris Climate Accord, and the one who sent it, so to speak, is the United Nations. It's part of the United Nations framework on climate change. As you can see in this BBC article from November 4th, 2020, even though the agreement was signed in December 2015, the treaty only came into force on November 4, 2016, 30 days after at least 55 countries representing 55% of global emissions had ratified it. No country could give notice to leave the agreement until 3 years had passed from the date of ratification. Even then, a member state still has to serve a 12-month notice period on the United Nations. So despite the announcement by the White House in June 2017, the United States was only able to formally give notice to the UN in November last year. The time has elapsed and the U.S. is now out. In October of 2017, the U.S. withdrew from UNESCO, another United Nations organization, and the United States then began to defund the United Nations as a result of the UN's overall rejection of the United States declaring Jerusalem as the capital of Kenite-occupied Israel in December of 2017, followed by the United States pulling out of the UN Human Rights Council and the Arms Treaty, as well as the World Health Organization in 2020, gradually breaking the great horn of the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8 verse 8, which is the United Nations, in my opinion. And once the great horn is broken completely, broken being the same word in the Hebrew as destroyed in Daniel chapter 11 verse 20, the 5-month-long hour of temptation begins when Satan and his angels, who are Daniel's 4th beast, are cast from heaven to earth. That's when the so-called New World Order emerges at the woe of the 5th trumpet. The lion, who is the 4th king of the south, the bear, who is the 4th king of the north, the leopard, which is what the he-goat will become at the woe of the 5th trumpet. And again, Daniel's 4th beast is exclusively supernatural because it's made up of Satan and his angels. And after that one world political system is wounded to death, so to speak, as you can see in Revelation chapter 13, Satan appears as the Antichrist in Jerusalem at the woe of the 6th trumpet. The true Christ won't return at all until the woe of the 7th trumpet, immediately after the 5-month-long hour of temptation, when the battles of Armageddon and Hamon-Gog transpire. And as the true Christ said in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch.